people lose their minds is when data just finish on their phone in the middle of.
It does? Okay. Tenny has been relatively quiet, hasn't she?
She has data, don't worry.
Okay. We said Happy New Year at the beginning of the program. This is 2024. So they say there is no health without mental health. Mental health promotion is the process of enabling people to increase control over their mental health and its determinants, and thereby improve their mental health. Hey, grammar. You know, sometimes you hear these things and you wonder, so you didn't go to night school, so how come you don't understand?
It's because...
Okay, I didn't go to night school, but I don't understand all that grammar.
Well, that's the reason you are not a specialist.
Okay. Anyway, you all know this guy. Clinical psychologist, family life therapist, Miracle Ihoma. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
And a Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Good to see you again. Every time you all come, you just come and tell us things that will make us, put us on the defensive. This is a new year, please. If you're coming to do that today, make sure you now rearrange your brain so that you don't put us on the defensive today and tell us things that will upset us.
You heard?
After all, this is the first Saturday of the year.
You heard?
That's noted, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Right. I have made my point. I have sufficiently intimidated him.
Don't wait until the food people come.
So, promoting mental well-being and all that grammar that I read, what does all that mean? Please break it down for us.
Okay. Promoting mental health, just to paraphrase what you've read, really talks about that we need to promote how we think, how we feel, and how we behave, because those are the three major components of mental health: our cognitive, our emotional, and then our behavioral life. Cognitive talks about how we think and how we process things. Emotion talks about how we feel, and behavior talks about our actions and attitudes and behavior.
Okay.
So promoting mental health now talks about how then should we think better, feel better, and then behave better. And just like Mr. Ayo mentioned earlier, mental health is not just talking about or health generally rather, it's not just talking about our physical well-being. In fact, World Health Organization defined health as a state of complete physical, social, and mental well-being, and not just the absence of disease. So it means that if you don't have typhoid or malaria, it doesn't mean you're healthy.
Interesting that World Health Organization didn't put financial health.
Right.
So, okay, what are the things that inhibit that cognitive, emotional, and behavioral health that you talked about? What are the things that stand in the way?
Okay, the things that stand in the way would be three-dimensional as well. There would be biological, there would be psychological, and there would be social. So when I say biological, I'm talking about those things that were given to us by nature. Say our DNA, for instance, they could actually inhibit or affect our mental health, and those three things I mentioned. Then the psychological aspect would be anything that affects our psychology, right? And then the social things or the sociological things would be our environment. For instance, say, I think you mentioned COVID. COVID was an environmental factor, a sociological factor that affected the mental health of people, right? Another, something like, say, late marriage could be a psychological factor, something that then begins to affect the psychology of a person.
You know, I found something interesting in recent time, Miracle, and Alera, you may be aware of this as well, where we understand that young people, they resign from a job simply because they don't like the environment, irrespective of the pay. And as we say on the streets, my ova is gasted and my flabber is whelmed. Just by the fact that, okay, I don't like my boss. Irrespective of how much they're paying you, you just resign.
Yeah.
Is that a kind of environment? Is that is this new generation writing the books of psychology in a way?
They are not. They are just, this generation is a bit more aware of their mental health than the previous generation. So when I say this generation, I'm talking about people we know as Gen Zs, and a bit of the millennials as well. Yeah. A lot of people in your generation will take anything, whatever you throw at them. And that's why it seems like people in your generation have a bit more resilience. They would stay more in places, in work environments, even in marriages and relationships than people in this generation. These people, the people in our generation are people who...
more intolerant.
Exactly, if I might use that word. And also in a way, they are more in tune with their mental health. So they know and identify places that are not promoting their mental health and would not hesitate to exit those places. So when they are in an environment, say a workspace, and then they have a boss who talks them down, who is affecting them negatively, they don't want to know how much you're paying them, because for them that is more important to them, and that has to do with their values. So most likely they value their mental health more than money and what have you. Right? Why some other people in the previous generations will say, oh, well, I have to just take it because I need to provide for my family. And that's why we tell people, employers of labor particularly, that beyond just what you're paying people, you need to create an enabling environment where people's mental health can be protected and promoted.
It's interesting that you said that the older generation are more resilient, and that the younger generation, they are quick to exit any environment that seems to be
they find toxic.
Injurious.
Yeah.
Will that in any way, this is not part of the conversation, but will that in any way be one of the reasons for the high rate of divorce?
Yes.
Or failed marriages?
It is. It's most likely one of the reasons why we have high rates of divorce and failed marriages, because, of course, I know that people in my parents' generation, they might not necessarily have been happy in their marriages, but they would rather tolerate whatever is going on. And many times I will say, oh, because of my children, and what name will I give to my family if I leave this marriage right now? What will people think about me? This generation doesn't care what you think about them.
Interesting. But you also talked about the consequence of resilience.
Yes.
So this generation is far less resilient than the older generation.
Yes.
And how does that help mental health?
Resilience is very important when it comes to mental health. Very, very important.
But you said that they are less resilient.
Yes. They are less resilient, but they are more in tune with their mental health. Right? So so they understand that, okay, these things get to affect my mental health, but I won't stay in that environment to tolerate this. Even though in life, you can't always exit every environment that you find yourself.
So the mental health is more important than sitting it out.
Exactly. Why sometimes sitting it out is very important, because it's because life will always throw challenges at you. And there are some you can exit, there are some you have to manage. You cannot exit it, but you have to stay in there and manage it. Right? For instance,
exit even though they have no alternative.
Even though they have no alternative. Yeah. And who tells them that even the next place they are going to work, there won't be similar challenges? Or the next relationship or marriage, there won't be similar challenges. It might not be the same, but there will definitely be challenge. I tell people that there is no relationship or marriage that is immune to challenges, right? So if you're leaving somebody because he or she poses a type of challenge, you also want to ask, okay, this challenge, is this something that I would never see in the next person I'm going to be with, in the next relationship or marriage?
Somebody was saying during the course of this week that he was saying, I don't understand what is going on in this country. You watch a Nigerian movie and all the women are talking about is that the man cheated on me, he cheated on me. Our parents and grandparents had 4, 5, 6 wives, and nobody talked about cheating on me and leaving the relationship because the man cheated on me. Is that part of this resilience we're talking about? But it's not just about marriages, even in relationships.
Yeah.
The girls take off because the man has cheated.
Girls are also cheated.
I mean,
Because sometimes when we talk about cheating, we make it look like it's a man thing. But the question is, men are cheating. Who are they cheating with?
Okay.
With themselves? They are cheating with women as well. Women just have the way.
Relationships.
Women are in a relationship, and that's not true.
Oh, please. What's that word?
Indulge me, huh?
Okay. Yes, it's actually part of what we're saying. The fact that they're in tune with their mental health and emotional state. So they know that, okay, if I'm going to be in a relationship and then this person is not going to honor this commitment, I can't be in that environment. So I'd rather leave than, stay in that environment where somebody is cheating on me, right? And that's not to say somebody else who wants to stay in the relationship shouldn't stay, or the person who wants to leave shouldn't leave. I think that everyone should determine, what's best for them, and then decide if they want to work it out or, leave the relationship.
No, you said something, very instructive, that the younger generation, they are more in tune with their mental well-being.
Yeah.
It's not that the older generation is not in tune as well. It's just that the younger ones are more in tune.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for all generations, what are the crucial elements for their mental well-being if they're going to meet their goals in 2024?
The crucial elements, I would say everybody needs to just embrace what promotes their mental well-being, irrespective of what generation you are, whether you are Gen Z, Generation Y, or Generation X. You should embrace those things that promote your mental health. And some of those things would include things like exercise, right? Because exercise has a way of affecting our mental health. I like to put it this way. Our physiology affects our psychology. Our psychology also affects our physiology. So exercise has been known to produce happy hormones. That's why when you exercise, you feel good. There's this good feeling you have about yourself. So exercises promote mental health. Another one is sleep, good sleep. Right, very, very important in promoting your mental well-being. I know a lot of motivational speakers have said otherwise. If you sleep 7 hours a day, you would have slept 1/3 of your life by the time you are 70. But I tell people you might not even get to 70 if you're not sleeping well. So you better start sleeping well. As an adult, you need 6 to 8 hours of sleep every day. If you can't do 8 hours, do at least 6 hours. Every day, because you need it. If I have not slept well, for instance, you discover that I will most likely be cranky, I'll become touchy, easily irritable, and things like that. That's because lack of sleep affects our mental health. In fact, an experiment was done. A boy was deprived sleep just for the purpose of this experiment for, I think, up to 5 days. And after 5 days, he started hearing voices. Right? That's hallucination as a result of not sleeping. So sleeping promotes our mental health. Another one is healthy social interactions.
Sorry, before we go off sleep.
Yes.
There are some who believe that, please don't lose your line of thought on the healthy social interactions.
Yes, sir.
Who believe that they have to meet their quota or their schedule every day. Yeah. And if they do not meet it, they do not go to sleep, consequently denying themselves. Yeah. And that because they have to do X number of things in the name of attaining their goals for each day in order to meet their goals for the week and for the month and for the entire year. What do you say to those people?
Well, now it's good that they have a value of hard work, but then you need to understand that sleep doesn't help you to achieve less. It actually helps you to achieve more. The better you sleep, the more alert you are, the more productive you most likely be, because you are well rested. I understand that there are times where you might need to work a bit more and you might not even be able to sleep up to 6 hours, but let those times be rarities. They shouldn't be the norm, right? When you can cover up for those times where you could not sleep up to the 6 to 8 hours every day. But I tell people that many times the reason people say, oh, I have so much to do, I can't even find time to finish everything I have to do every day, is because they don't plan properly. I discovered that when people plan properly, you discover that you have a lot of time on your hands. We have 24 hours, for Christ's sake. Even if you sleep 8 hours, you still have 16 hours. Well, so let's assume you work 10 hours. You still have 6 hours. So just to tell you that if really you put in the work and the shift, you know, you would have achieved everything you set out to achieve each day and still have enough time to sleep. So one should not deprive you of the other.
Okay. The social interactions, healthy social interactions.
So healthy social interactions are very, very, very important because we are created for connection and not for isolation. So it's important that we actually interact and socialize. It helps our mental health. So I hear people say, I don't have friends. I tell people that if you don't have friends, you are not so much different from somebody who has bad friends. Yes, you are different, but not so much different. Because isolation in itself actually has its consequences. And that's why a lot of people, go into depression and things like that, because there are really no social interactions around them.
Okay.
Another one is...
Before we go to the other ones.
Okay, sir.
Now, there seems to be different levels of connections.
Yes.
Friends.
Yes.
Colleagues.
Yes.
Acquaintances.
Yes.
Now, there are completely different levels of interactions, consequences, such to the extent that sometimes some people think their colleagues are friends, but their acquaintances are friends. So you'll be having expectations
of the colleagues
as friends, as opposed to acquaintances as friends. What are the mental health consequences of such expectations?
Yes, so it's important that you properly grade people and categorize.
Categorizing is a difficult thing for some people.
Yes, it is actually, and it's something that you need to learn. You need to understand that, just like you said, there are different levels and cadres of friendships and relationships. In fact, I like to group them into 3: their acquaintances, their casual friends, and their intimate friends. So you need to know where everybody is per time. Acquaintances are those people, all you have with them is a hi and bye. Hi and bye. How you doing? Hope you're good. How was your night? You slept well. And that's all. Casual friends are people you talk about general things with. The sports, the news, what happened in the office yesterday. Just general things. But intimate friends are those you get personal with and then become vulnerable with and discuss intricate parts of your life with. So it's important you know where everybody is and qualify everybody for each level. That's why a lot of people bring people into their lives and then they get hurt, because they didn't properly qualify those people before graduating them from acquaintance to intimate friends. You meet somebody today, for instance, and then by next week you're already calling them, oh, my G. No, they're not necessarily your G. You don't have time you've not had time to know them. So it's important that you appropriately qualify people for each level in your life per time before you actually now attribute such roles to them.
Okay.
Is it this awareness, which I want to call over-awareness sometimes, that makes the incidence of depression and suicide more common these days than before?
Well, awareness is what has helped us to recognize it more. It has not been there. It has always been there, rather. But awareness now helps us to recognize that, okay, this is depression.
When I was in school, we didn't know what depression was.
Exactly. But it didn't mean people were not depressed. Right? So mental health has evolved over time.
Okay.
And in fact, there was a time where exorcism was a method of actually treating people with mental health conditions. What does that mean? They actually drilled holes in the heads of people who had any form of mental health issues, because they felt that they had demonic spirits that were actually in them, causing them to behave or feel or think in the ways that they were thinking and feeling and doing. So they felt that if you drill holes in their head, those spirits will have an avenue to live, and that was a form of treatment for people with mental health issues.
I don't even want to ask whether it worked or not.
Of course, people were dying.
Okay, but you see,
really.
the question she asked only reminded me that falling back to the conversation about friends, colleagues, acquaintances, casual friends, and all. A number of people get affected by social media, and so what level of relationship is that one? Because it's one form of connection, particularly for these Gen Zs you're talking about.
Yeah, social media is social media, and you can't. Yeah, even though we say is my friend on Facebook, but as a Facebook friend, it's not a real life friend, right? So you need to understand the disparities that exist, because social media actually shows you what people want you to see. And like I always like to say, people would always put their best foot forward. So many of the things you see on social media are quote unquote the best of people in that sense.
And they want you to see.
They won't show you their worst state. So if I was wearing boxers and singlets, I won't snap myself and post on social media. I'll most likely snap myself on Channels Television.
Except
and say, wow,
you were marketing something.
Exactly. I came on Channels Television. And even though I drank Gary in the morning, you wouldn't know, because, what I want you to see is an image of me being in Channels Television. So that's why it's very important that we are very wary of social media. Understand that social media is social media. It is not necessarily real life connection. So you need to have real life connections with people. That's why the advent of social media has actually reduced human interaction. And that's why we have the increase of mental health conditions and things like depression. In fact, it has been said that very soon people would need to start employing distraction managers, because they won't be able to manage distractions anymore, and they will need other people to help them manage it as a result of the things that are happening on social media. So social media actually has had positive impact, but at the same time, there are negative parts to our mental health that is discussed.
So you who are permanently on social media, watch out. Miracle Ihoma, thank you very much. Miracle is a clinical psychologist and a family life therapist. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
You didn't depress us today.
So now we know there's another employment opportunity in the future.
Yes.
Distraction manager.
Distraction manager. Thank you very much. Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. Stay with us, having played this far.